just an amazing bestseller. And we're so excited to have you here in August in Austin, Texas, man. Can we start for maybe the 1% who are watching this who don't know your story, which is one of the coolest, I mean, I think it's cool, but I mean, the trials and tribulations, man, the cancer, the car accident. Dude, tell our tribe a little bit about where you're from.
Here, also, I'll frame it to give some kind of structure. 3 rock bottoms, right? And in my life, I've experienced what I call 3 major rock bottoms. And by the way, I don't think I'm special for that. I believe that we've all experienced rock bottoms. I define a rock bottom as any experience, any moment of adversity that is beyond what you've ever experienced before, right? Mm-hmm. So rock bottoms are very relative to each individual, and they're relative to the stage you're at in your life. Like when we were in junior high, you ever had your heart broken by a girl, like in high school or junior high, right? Like that was a rock bottom. Like in 7th grade, I wanted to die, never go to school again because a girlfriend of 2 weeks, right, ended things with me. And it was like, oh, I can't go on, right? So rock bottoms are relative. My first rock bottom, I was 20 years old. I was selling Cutco Cutlery, one of their top sales reps. And one night at age 20, I had given a speech at one of their sales conferences, and leaving the speech, I was driving my first brand new car, a Ford Mustang, and a drunk driver got on the freeway going the wrong way, and our 2 cars collided head on at 70 miles per hour each. And I was hit head on by the drunk driver. I spun off the drunk driver. The car behind me crashed into my door at 70 miles an hour. Everybody look to your left and imagine a car hits you at the door in 70 miles an hour. I broke 11 bones on this side of my body. My eye socket was smashed. My ear was severed. My elbow was smashed. This bone broke in half. My femur broke in half, on and on. And I died for 6 minutes. And I was told I would never walk again. Yeah. So I came out of a coma 6 days later, and I had to, face this unimaginable reality that I had broken bones and permanent brain damage and never going to walk again. And so obviously it's a long story, but that was the first rock bottom. I overcame it in a really positive, proactive way. And that led me into my work to be a speaker and an author, because people around me, the doctors, were saying, you need to share your mindset. It's not normal. I was so happy in the midst of the recovery. I was learning to walk again, but before I learned to walk again, I was so happy and positive that the doctors told my parents they believed I was in denial and I was delusional, because they said he should be depressed, angry, sad, and I was genuinely grateful for everything that I had, and I had accepted that I may never walk again. And then the second rock bottom was 2008. The U.S. economy crashed. It's not a long story. I crashed with it, and I figured out after about 6 months of this downward spiral, what do the world's most successful people do every day that I'm not doing, that I need to be doing? And I kept coming across morning routines and morning rituals, but like millions of people in America, right, I wasn't a morning person. So I'm like, no. Like, well, next page, what else do they do? And I finally saw it so many times that I realized that how I started my day set the tone, the direction, the context for the rest of my day and ultimately the rest of my life. And I realized that if you nailed that piece, if you created an extraordinary morning ritual that put you in a peak physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual state, reminded you of your highest priorities, put you in the right direction to get those done for the day, that's how you created a winning life. And I created years later, wrote a book called The Miracle Morning, all about that. And most recently, my third rock bottom, and I'm hoping it's my last, right? Yeah, there's the book.
There it is.
I'm hoping this rock bottom is my last, man. I've had enough of these. But about a year and a half ago, I woke up having trouble breathing, and a few days later, went into the doctor, still unable to breathe. And after many tests and many doctor's visits and 3 different hospitals, they confirmed that I had this very rare aggressive form of cancer. Now, I'm 38 years old at that point. I'm like the healthiest person you know. I eat like a primarily plant-based diet with the occasional grass-fed meats. I don't even have like chemicals in my shampoo. I'm like OCD healthy, right? And so it couldn't have been cancer, and it was. And I was given a 20 to 30% chance of surviving. That was the survival rate for my cancer. It's called acute lymphoblastic leukemia. And for me, a 20 to 30% survival rate was a 100% survival rate in my mind, meaning I committed there is no other option than for me to be in the 20 to 30%. There's no other option. Now, I can say that like it wasn't easy. There were definitely days when I was in tears thinking that I may die and leave my 2 small children without a dad and my wife without a husband. It was terrifying at times, but I'd say 95% of my focused, conscious energy was on surviving, living to be 100. I would visualize myself at my 100th birthday party when my daughter was 70 and my son was 67, like sitting on my lap, you know, and I did affirmations, I did acupuncture, I did ozone therapy, you name it. Like I did everything outside of what my doctors told me to do in combination with. And I'm very grateful to say, as of a few months ago, I am in remission. I'm what you'd say cancer-free. And, you know, working on staying that way for the rest of my life, which it's kind of like this monkey on your back. Like once you have cancer, so many people have it come back. So it's kind of like you never feel out of the woods. You know, it's this thing you have to learn to live with. But yeah, man, and that brings us to today. And I'll wrap up by saying, when I wrote The Miracle Morning, that was 2000. It published on 12/12/12. I have brain damage and a bad memory, so I picked a date that I wouldn't forget. And 12/12/12. But when it published, I published it not as this confident, like I didn't have an email list. I didn't have anything. I mean, I just had this thing that changed my life, and I thought, man, I have a responsibility to share it with the world. I never imagined it would become what it's become. And you mentioned we've sold 700,000 copies in 27 languages. And more important than that is there are hundreds of thousands, roughly 500,000 people a day that do the Miracle Morning. And there's a Facebook group called the Miracle Morning Community with 170,000 people in it. And it's one of the most loving, supportive, engaged communities in the world. And it's just a testament to the book. It started as a book, but it created this movement. Like we're all trying to create movements, but I'm like, it actually became a movement. Like it really did. Not like I'm saying it is. It actually is. You know, and people around the world, we get hundreds of emails every week saying, this saved my marriage. This cured my depression. I lost 90 pounds, 20 pounds, 50. I mean, just insane, like infomercial sounding results where, you know, it's like, I'm like, I wouldn't believe it if I wasn't getting emails directly from these people. So now my mission in the world at your event is to elevate the consciousness of humanity one morning at a time. And, you know, I'm seeing it happen. It's a blessing. So, yeah.
Thank you for that. I knew a lot of your story. And if you guys, remarkable. And congratulations, man, on the cancer.
Thank you.
Beat the hell out of that.